Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to the very first episode of Films from Mars. Today we're looking at a film that perfectly represents why I started this channel. It's not a blockbuster, it's not a movie everyone talks about, but it's a fascinating piece of 1970s cinema that deserves a lot more attention. We're talking about Straight Time, the 1978 movie starring Dustin Hoffman, released on Blu-ray by Warner Archives. Before I bought this disc, I knew almost nothing about this movie. I'd seen maybe the title floating around, but somehow never made it onto my watch list. After watching it, I honestly surprised this movie isn't along some of the great 70s films. Dustin Hoffman stars as Max Dembo, a career criminal that was released from prison and generally tries to go straight. The problem is the world around him just seems determined not to let that happen. What makes this film so effective is it never feels like a Hollywood movie. There's no glamorous criminals, there's no clever masterminds, no flashy action sequences. Instead, it feels real. The movie was based on the novel by former criminal and author Eddie Bunker. You may know him from the Reservoir Dogs series. And his authenticity of his own life definitely shines through this, based on what I read. This may be one of the most underrated Dustin Hoffman performances. I mean, hell, I haven't really even heard of this movie until the last couple years. I mean, we all know Rain Man, we all know The Graduate, Midnight Cowboy. Granted, I wasn't born in the 70s, but, you'd think I would have heard about something like this. He's sort of, I can't say that he's unlikable, but, he just seems like an alien that, just doesn't exist in this certain point in Earth's existence, I guess, Like, he wants to do good, but just the world around him just kind of sucks, the rules and regulations and stuff. So, all right, so here's the gist of the movie. So he committed a crime. I actually kind of forget what it was, but he was in jail for 6 years and then he goes free. He has a parole officer played by one of my favorites, Emmett Walsh. And at first you're like, Emmett Walsh seems like a good guy and he's willing to give Dustin Hoffman a break. Dustin Hoffman was supposed to go to or Max, the character, was supposed to go to a halfway house. And instead, Emmett Walsh says, you can stay in this as long as you have a day. If you can find a place to live and a job, I'll let you stay wherever you like. Okay. So, Dustin Hoffman's character seems very motivated to do that. He gets a place really quickly. He finds a kind of crappy job at this canning plant. But, I think he's going through the motions and he wants to, you can't get the criminal out of somebody, sometimes. So this movie's filled with so many great supporting characters. The beautiful Teresa Russell is like the love interest in this movie. She plays a wonderful job recruiter, secretary, and they have like a flirting scene and he asks her out on a date, and they kind of form a bond throughout the film. A young Gary Busey who's addicted to heroin, which is really fun. He kind of plays this like bonehead, and he was friends with Dustin Hoffman in the past, and kind of a bad friend. He's married to Kathy Bates, who's also very young and early in her career. So it's exciting seeing her in this. And she's not into Max and Dustin Hoffman, like kind of getting back into Gary Busey's life. So she's very hesitant and kind of tells, him not to come back. So things happen. Emmett Walsh isn't as nice as it seems in the first place. Things occur, and it kind of brings Dustin back into a world of crime, which you see a lot in these sort of, movies. He teams up with Harry Dean Stanton, who's wonderful in this as well. and they start doing petty crimes because Dustin Hoffman's just looking for a way out. He just wants to get enough money to escape this, confines that he's in. Just a wonderful movie. I really recommend giving this a shot. I think I got it for $20 on Amazon. But this is a perfect movie. That, again, why I started this channel, where I'm like, why are we not talking about this? Now, again, maybe people are talking about it, but I wasn't aware of it, and I'm kind of glad. I don't know even how I stumbled upon it recently. I usually like 70s movies, and I think there's a few of the early Dustin Hoffman movies I haven't seen yet. But this was 1978, I think I said, and almost an 80s film. Maybe some of the 70s cinemas kind of, all the greats have already happened, etc. But I can't recommend this more. I'll talk about this Warner Brothers Archive collection. Warner Brothers does such a great job of preserving these movies and transferring them. What I think is so exciting about some of these Blu-rays is, here's a movie that, I'm sure it had a video, a VHS or a DVD, and maybe they weren't the most loved transfer. I always, when I look at some old DVDs where I'm like, well, they just ran the film through, hit record, and just said, what the hell? But Warner Brothers Archives does a nice job. They clean the image up. It's so beautiful and refreshing, and has that 70s patina that I love so much, the natural film grain and such. So it's really a good watch, and for people that, watch stuff streaming all the time, I think this is why physical media is so exciting to me. And, I know there's a lot of vinyl heads and people out there like that, but there's something about, the physical disc and playing it, and experiencing it, and not just stumbling upon it through Netflix. It feels like a fun journey to buy this and put it in the player and just take a risk like I did. And this may be one of the best movies I've seen in 2026 so far. It's kind of stuck with me. It's made me really think about Dustin Hoffman. Not that I wasn't already, but I mean, man, he had a good run of movies. I mean, geez. I remember my father, who's, not an above average moviegoer by any means, but I remember when I was a kid and somehow the conversation came up, like, who is the best actor? And he said Dustin Hoffman. And I always was like, huh? Dustin Hoffman? But, the more and more I watch some of his work, you're like, all right. Yeah, he was pretty damn good, and this is a perfect movie to jump into really seeing how special he is. I can't say enough about it. And, there's a great commentary that I dipped into a little bit, which was, one of those very informative, they don't stop talking commentaries, So one day I'll throw that on and give that a good listen. So, again, Straight Time, 1978 by Warner's Archive Collection. I can't recommend it high enough. Go buy it right now. And if you like what we do here, like and subscribe. Just kind of starting off and trying to figure things out and trying to bring some attention to some movies that you may never heard of. And, look, people take risks. A lot of this wall here is a blind buy. And, sometimes that is, the best thing. I know we streaming services kind of funnel what they want you to watch, but like, you can go down your own rabbit hole. You can find these gems, and eBay, Amazon, all these sites, they're very affordable. Just think of it as like, maybe it's the price of 2 movie tickets if you were to go out in the theater. So take a risk, go see it. And thanks again for joining us. I hope you enjoy the content. Again, like and subscribe, do those things to help this grow more. And we'll talk soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.